Are you prepared for what's coming? The world is changing faster than we can imagine, and survival is no longer just a skill, it's a necessity. By July 2025, the landscape of our everyday lives could become unrecognizable, filled with challenges we can't yet see. But there's a way to be ready. In this video, we're going to reveal 28 critical survival items that you must secure before it's too late. These are not your average tools. They are the life-saving essentials that could mean the difference between staying alive or being left behind. The clock is ticking, and every second counts. Danger rarely announces itself before it strikes, so don't wait for the chaos to unfold. Watch closely and take action now, because your future may depend on these items. Let's get started, if you dare. 1. Storage options. Disaster won't knock on your door politely. It crashes in. Ruthless, merciless, and unrelenting. When chaos descends, you won't have time to scramble for supplies scattered across your house. Everything must be ready to grab in seconds. That's why choosing the right storage options might be one of the most critical decisions you make. I recommend starting with 27-gallon totes. These heavy-duty containers can hold your gear, food, and other supplies in one place. Picture this. You wake up to shrill warning sirens and announcements urging you to evacuate. Your heart pounds as you grab the tote filled with your essentials, load it into your car, and drive while others are still fumbling to pack. That tote might save your life. Organization equals survival. And if you need to leave on foot, there's the Bugout Bag, or Go Bag. Lightweight and portable, this is your lifeline when walking becomes your only option. Imagine slinging one over your shoulder, knowing it holds enough supplies to keep you alive for 72 hours. Every step brings exhaustion, but you breathe easier with the knowledge that you've got food, water, a first aid kit, and clothing with you. But of course, underprepared people forget these basics. Don't be one of them. 2. Water storage. No resource is more critical to survival than water. Think about it. You can go weeks without food, but only days without water. When society crumbles, clean water becomes scarcer than gold. You might think, I'll just take my chances with a nearby stream. But what if that water's contaminated? What if disease is lurking there, waiting to finish what the initial disaster started? Here's the bare minimum to aim for. 1 gallon per person per day. That might sound like a lot, but remember, you'll need water for drinking, cooking, and hygiene. And trust me, bare minimum feels exactly like it sounds in a survival situation. If you want real peace of mind, go for 2 gallons per person per day. Hydration is non-negotiable. I've already stocked up on 7-gallon containers. They're lightweight and relatively easy to transport. But be cautious, these can't be stacked, so plan where you'll store them carefully. If you have a bit more space and want something sturdier, opt for 5-gallon stackable containers. They hold less water, but their thicker material makes them long-lasting and reliable. Picture this nightmare scenario. Your family is holed up, waiting for rescue, the tap runs dry, and you start rationing your last few precious drops. You feel your throat tighten, not just from dehydration, but from the mounting panic. That future doesn't have to be yours. Water storage is non-negotiable. Invest in it now while you still can. 3. Food that keeps you alive. When your stomach growls during a crisis, it becomes a brutal clock reminding you of what little time you have left before your body starts to break down. Don't fantasize about fresh produce or hot casseroles once the grocery store shelves are empty. You'll need food that is high-calorie, long-lasting, and easy to prepare. Start with emergency ration bars like Millennium bars or SOS bars. Each bite is packed with energy, but eat them judiciously. No one wants to deal with hunger pangs in the middle of an evacuation. Imagine sitting in the dark, gnawing on a bar that keeps you alive another day. It's a chilling thought, but survival isn't meant to be glamorous. Next are meals ready to eat, MREs. Soldiers have relied on these self-contained meals for decades. They come with built-in heating elements, so you don't have to start a fire to eat something warm. You rip open the package, and minutes later you're devouring a meal that helps you keep going. But I won't lie to you. MREs aren't gourmet dining. They'll taste like hope and desperation mixed together. Finally, stock up on freeze-dried foods if you can. They last decades and are weightless compared to canned goods. All you need is water to rehydrate them. But here's the brutal catch. Without water, these foods are useless. Always remember, food and water are a tag team in survival. Never prioritize one over the other. 4. Cash is king when the system collapses. When power outages knock out ATMs and card readers, you'll find out just how fragile our financial systems are. Your credit card becomes worthless, a shiny piece of plastic with no use in an apocalypse. No amount of digital currency is going to help you when all the networks are down. That's when cash becomes king. Keep your cash reserves in small denominations. You won't be able to break a $100 0-cent bill at the local hardware store during an emergency. Think ones, fives, and tens. Picture this horrifying situation. A desperate neighbor offers their generator or canned goods in exchange for cash. But all you have is a $50 0-cent bill and they have no change to give? What do? You lose an opportunity to survive. And don't make the mistake of stashing all your money in your wallet or purse. Spread it out. Keep some in different bags or envelopes. That way, if you lose one stash, you don't lose it all. This isn't paranoia, it's reality when society begins to break apart. You'll thank yourself when you're paying for supplies while others are stuck pleading for credit or IOUs. 5. Important documents. Proof of your life. This is the part nobody thinks about, and that's exactly why it's so dangerous. Disasters don't just strip away your home and possessions. They erase your identity. Without the proper documents, it's like you don't exist. Who are you? Where do you live? How can anyone prove what belongs to you? You'll need copies of insurance policies, medical records, vaccination records, especially for pets, and other critical documents. Imagine trying to reclaim your destroyed property after a flood without proof of ownership. Or worse, imagine a medical emergency where no one knows your history or allergies. It's a terrifying thought. Organization is key here. Use folders or envelopes to keep these documents together. Even better, store them in a waterproof pouch. You don't want to carry a soggy mess of paper during an evacuation. Now, close your eyes for a second. Picture an evacuation shelter, crowded with scared, displaced people. A staff member shouts, "Has anyone lost a pet? We need proof of vaccinations before you can get them back." A lump forms in your throat as you realize you didn't bring those records. Panic sets in, and suddenly, survival becomes even harder. Don't put yourself in that situation. 6. Clothing. That's not just comfortable but essential. Picture this. It's midwinter, the power's gone out, and the world is turned to ice. Your teeth chatter in the dark as the chill digs down to your bones. Or maybe it's the opposite. It's the peak of summer, and the heat is relentless, burning every exposed patch of skin while sweat practically blinds you. You need the right clothing for every possible scenario, because being unprepared can be deadly. Think layers for the cold and lightweight, breathable fabrics for the heat. Each family member should have outfits for all seasons packed away in waterproof bags. Have you felt the despair that comes with damp clothes clinging to your skin, promising chill and sickness? I have. This is why waterproof bags are non-negotiable. Don't wait until the elements get to you. Your clothes should protect you like armor against this unpredictable world. 7. The dark side of hygiene. Now imagine surviving days, not just hours, but days with no access to running water. What happens next? Filth creeps in. Disease follows. You regret every moment you took a flushing toilet and a clean mouth for granted. That's why personal sanitation items aren't just convenient. They're critical. Toilet paper vanishes from shelves faster than you can blink when an emergency feels close. But you'll also need toothpaste, a toothbrush, floss, and soap sheets to keep things clean, not to mention moist towelettes for when your face and hands are covered in grime. And don't forget the unspoken necessities like feminine hygiene products. Don't want to think about it? You'll wish you had when your body becomes a petri dish for infections. Sanitation isn't glamorous, no, but neither is the misery of an unwashed body during a crisis. 8. Sanitation supplies that go beyond the basics. If you thought a pack of wet wipes was enough, think again. You'll also need supplies that protect you from the unknown variables of a dirty, chaotic world. Have you considered latex gloves? Touch something contaminated and you might regret it more than you can imagine. Alcohol wipes are another must. They'll serve you more times than you can count, from cleaning wounds to disinfecting surfaces. Spray bottles might seem out of place in this nightmare scenario, but trust me, they're invaluable. Fill them with disinfectant, clean water, or anything else that can keep your surroundings livable. Garbage bags aren't just for trash either. They become shields, liners, or even emergency rain gear when you've got no other choice. And N95 masks, well, do I even need to explain those anymore? Don't underestimate this list. It's not about convenience, it's about survival. These little items might be the only thing keeping an outbreak from turning your safe haven into a breeding ground for hell. 9. A fire extinguisher between you and disaster. There's something primal about fire. It warms, it lights, and yet in an instant, it can devour. But what happens when you're cornered by flames, the smoke suffocating and your exits vanishing? Without a fire extinguisher, you might find out. Most people don't realize how quickly a fire spreads. A misplaced candle, a cooking accident, or even a stray ember from a fireplace can turn your home into an inferno in minutes. Do you have those moments to spare when your loved ones are screaming and ash covers the air? Keep at least one fire extinguisher in your arsenal. Do it not because it might come in handy, but because when you least expect it, it will decide whether you walk out of that raging house or become a statistic. 10. Your only voice in the void. The silence after a disaster is deafening. No Wi-Fi, no phones, no buzzing, chirping, or ringing that reassures you the world is connected. Instead, there's nothing but the eerie quiet of isolation. But there's one thing that could pierce through that silence and bring you life-saving information. A hand-crank emergency radio. Don't underestimate it. This device is more than just a way to pass the time. It's the voice of survival. Look for one with all the features you'll need. A flashlight becomes your eyes in the darkness. USB charging can bring dying devices back to life, at least temporarily. And the NOAA emergency channels? Those could be your warning of what's coming. Without it, you're cut off, an island in a sea of disaster. With it, you're connected, tethered, to whatever vestiges of the world are still hanging on. 11. Shelter and warmth. When the walls of your home no longer offer refuge, what will? Picture a freezing rainstorm tearing through the night, your shelter gone. Water soaks through your clothes, chilling you to the bone. Hypothermia isn't dramatic like the movies. It sneaks up on you. Your muscles weaken, your mind fogs, and before you know it, the cold has won. That's why tarps or rainflies are more than just survival gear. They're a lifeline. Lightweight and versatile, they can protect you from rain, wind, or even the beating sun. Combined with Mylar blankets, you've got a chance to keep warm and outlast the frigid hours. Mylar might not look like much, but don't underestimate it. It reflects body heat back to you, turning the tiniest bit of warmth into survival. I've been caught in storms before, watching winds howl and knowing I wasn't prepared. Never again. You want to face the elements? You need to be armed with shelter and a barrier against the cold. 12. Lighting. Have you experienced true darkness? I don't mean turning off the lights in your bedroom. I'm talking about the suffocating black, where even your outstretched hand becomes invisible. That's where fear thrives. It eats into your mind when you can't see what's coming. Lanterns, headlamps, flashlights, whatever you choose, make sure it's ready when the power disappears. Just imagine stumbling through your home, tripping over debris while panic rises in your chest. A small flashlight isn't just convenience, it's your guide through chaos. You'll want options. USB rechargeable lighting can last longer with portable power banks, but don't rely solely on them. Battery-operated lights are a sturdy fallback. Darkness doesn't wait for your phone to charge. Stock up now so you can fight back against the shadows. Without light, you're just easier prey. 13. Battery storage. Speaking of batteries, consider this your wake-up call. You won't believe how fast they run out when survival hinges on them. Flashlights, radios, medical devices. They all demand their share, and when they fail, so do you. I've watched neighbors tear through kitchen drawers in blackout panic, searching for AA batteries that weren't there. The hopelessness in their eyes still haunts me. Don't let yourself become like them. Organized battery storage, like a system such as the Battery Daddy, could be what saves you in a moment of crisis. Keep a variety of types stocked and ready to go. They might seem mundane now, but when the machines keeping you alive sputter and die, batteries become worth more than gold. 14. Medical kit. Emergencies aren't always flashy. Sometimes they come in the form of a deep gash or a broken limb. When ambulances can't reach you because the streets are choked with debris, your medical kit becomes the only thing standing between you and tragedy. But not all kits are created equal. You'll want one stocked with more than just Band-Aids. Pack tourniquets, like one from NAR, North American Rescue, because when bleeding doesn't stop, seconds count. Add antiseptics, gauze, painkillers, and instruments for cutting or stitching if you're skilled enough to use them. Here's the terrifying truth that no one wants to speak out loud. help might never come. You need to be able to stabilize injuries and push through on your own. Pain and injury love a world unprepared, but don't give them the satisfaction. Build your medical kit now, when you have time, not when it's too late. 15. Whistle. It's such a small thing, isn't it? A whistle. You probably overlook it, thinking it's insignificant next to things like water and food. But one shrill blow in the night could mean the difference between life and death. Picture yourself trapped under rubble after an earthquake. Dust coats your lungs as your breath comes shallow. You scream, hoping someone out there hears. But you'll grow hoarse before they do. That's where the whistle comes in. Its sound cuts through noise, carrying farther than your voice ever could. It's your signal for help, your beacon of hope. Whistles aren't just for adults. Children, disoriented and lost in the chaos, need a way to call for help too. Attach one to their bags or keychains, where it's within arm's reach. One piercing note could reunite you when separation feels like a death sentence. 16 N95 masks. What's the color of terror? For me, it's gray. Ash falling from the sky like a toxic snowfall, clogging my lungs with every breath. Wildfires don't just destroy forests. They turn the very air we breathe into a threat. The smoke is relentless, wrapping itself around you, choking the life out of everything it touches. An N95 mask is a weapon against that brutal invader. It filters out the fine particles that can cause irreparable damage, the pollutants that smother entire cities during fire season. It doesn't matter where you live. Fires don't discriminate, and neither do airborne contaminants. When flames rise and the air becomes poison, you'll thank yourself for stocking up on these masks. Imagine opening your front door to a world painted in smoke. You can't outrun it, and you can't breathe through it. An N95 might be the only thing keeping you from suffocating. Don't wait until you're surrounded. Buy them now. 17. Fire starting tools. Picture this. You're out in the wilderness, your only refuge miles behind you. The sun is set, plunging everything into a cold, lifeless black. You've got no fire and no hope of warmth. The night grows colder, stealing heat from your body like a thief. Without fire, you won't last. Bic lighters are cheap, ordinary, and as reliable as any smoker will tell you. But in a survival scenario, they become more than just tools. They're life preservers. Store them in protective cases, shield them from water, and keep them ready. Wrap a strip of duct tape around each lighter for convenience, and suddenly, you're walking with both fire and survival fixes in your pocket. Fire isn't just about warmth. It's light, it's safety, it's cooking food and purifying water. Without fire starting tools, you're at the mercy of the elements. Believe me, the night has no mercy. 18. Duct tape. You think duct tape is mundane? Think again. This unassuming roll of adhesive is a survivalist's secret weapon. I can't count the times I've used it to patch up torn gear or secure something critical. But it wasn't until I was caught in a storm, water seeping through the broken seams of my tent, that I truly understood its value. Picture this moment. The rain's pounding, cold and unforgiving, and your shelter is falling apart. You're scrambling, your hands numb. That's when duct tape transforms from an ordinary household item into a lifeline. A quick wrap here, a mend there, and you've managed to keep the worst of the storm out. From repairing gear to sealing windows against toxic air during a fire, duct tape is endlessly versatile. You'll be amazed at what you can fix when desperation takes hold. Ignore the cliches about its uses, just make sure you have it when your world starts falling apart. 19. Eating utensils. Hunger is a cruel, gnawing thing. When your stomach's empty and all you can think of is food, even the smallest inconvenience can break you. That's why having compact, multifunctional utensils matters more than you'd expect. Imagine trying to eat in a world where convenience has been wiped away. You're digging your fingers into a can of soup or gnawing on rations like an animal because you didn't think to grab something as basic as a spork. It's humiliating, demoralizing, and wholly unnecessary. A good set of eating utensils might not seem urgent now, but when everything else is stripped away, the smallest comforts can keep you sane. Compact and functional tools aren't just about feeding yourself. They're about preserving a shred of normalcy when normal has disappeared. 20. Tools. The ground trembles, and in the span of seconds, everything changes. Earthquakes, floods, hurricanes. Disasters don't just damage homes, they destroy infrastructure. When a gas line ruptures or water pipes burst, there's no time to wait for emergency services. Often, there are no services left to come. Wrenches and pliers aren't glamorous. These simple tools give you the power to shut off gas or water lines, preventing even greater dangers from spiraling out of control. That gas leak you ignored in the chaos? It only takes one spark to turn it into a devastating explosion. Add a manual can opener to the mix, because canned food is useless if you can't access it. I've seen people hacking cans open with knives in sheer desperation, often injuring themselves in the process. Why risk it? When hunger strikes, you'll want a tool designed for the task. These tools might sit in your garage, forgotten and dusty, but when disaster comes knocking, they'll be your first defense. 21 Maps. Local maps. You know how small the world feels when GPS is working. Roads merge into neat blue lines and your phone calmly guides you to your destination. But take away that GPS and suddenly the world becomes a labyrinth. Roads twist and turn, paths diverge, and the landmarks you thought you knew are swallowed by chaos. I've been there. A storm knocked out power, cell towers were down, and I couldn't rely on my phone to tell me where safety was. That creeping panic as the realization sets in, it's unforgettable. That's why you need local maps, not digital ones, but physical, tangible maps from trusted sources like AAA or local stores. When you've got a detailed map in your hands, you've got freedom. Freedom to plan your escape route. Freedom to find alternative paths when danger blocks the main road. Freedom to locate water sources or shelter, but without a map you're lost, and in a survival scenario being lost can kill you. 22. Water filters. You think thirst is manageable? It's not. Dehydration is insidious. First comes the dryness in your throat, then the pounding headache, the dizziness, the nausea, and then death. 3 days without water, and you're done. That's why clean, drinkable water is more valuable than gold during a disaster. The terrifying truth? Most water sources will betray you. Rivers, lakes, even the rain itself could be contaminated with bacteria or debris. That's where water filters like Life Straw and Sawyer Mini come in. They don't just give you water, they give you life. I've seen people try to ignore this. They fill bottles with murky water, telling themselves they'll buoy it later or that a little dirt won't hurt. They're dead wrong. Waterborne illnesses don't care about your plans. They'll ravage you faster than you imagine. A Life Straw lets you drink straight from a questionable source, while a Sawyer Mini gives you purified water, but only if you're ready. When water runs dry, you'll be kicking yourself for not having these filters in your kit. 23 Books. You'd think with the world at our fingertips, we'd have no need for books, but once the power goes out, your high-tech devices turn into useless hunks of plastic and glass. Those YouTube survival tutorials? Gone. That favorite prepper blog you bookmarked? Useless. When darkness swallows the digital world, books become your new mentors. Consider this scenario. Someone in your group has a nasty wound, infection sets in, and you're scrambling for answers. Without a doctor, every decision feels like a gamble. But with a guide like the Medical Survival Handbook by Dr. Joe Alton and Nurse Amy, you have a fighting chance. Or imagine you're trapped somewhere with limited supplies. You're cold, scared, and unsure if rescue will come. Open up the SAS Survival Guide and suddenly, you're armed with techniques to endure the impossible. These books aren't just bound paper, they're survival experts in your hands. When no one's there to help you, when the internet has gone silent, who will you turn to? Your books. But only if you've got them. 24. MultiTool. MultiTools don't prepare you for the level of punishment the world can deliver. Tools you swore you'd never need become the difference between life and despair. A Leatherman Wave or Swiss Army knife can feel like the most valuable thing you own when you're in the thick of it. Picture yourself facing locked doors, stubborn bolts, or even a can of food you can't open. Without a versatile tool, you're reduced to trying to break or pry things with whatever's around. And whether it's a snapped finger or a ruined item, you lose something every time. A multi-tool changes everything. Screwdrivers, blades, pliers, scissors, can openers, wire cutters. They're all in one compact package, ready for anything chaos throws at you. There's a terrifying efficiency about a well-prepared person. Someone with a multi-tool isn't scraping by. They're adapting, surviving, making their environment work for them. Here's the dark truth. Without tools, the world makes you its victim. With a multi-tool, you can fight back. 25. Kid activities. It's easy to overlook this one. After all, when was the last time you thought about toys or games in a survival kit? But think of the children. Think of their wide, terrified eyes as the world crumbles around them. Think of their fidgeting, their fear, their confusion. I've seen it before. A small girl with a teddy bear clutched so tightly it looked like she'd strangle it. Her parents were frantic, arguing over where to go next, and there she stood, completely alone in her own mind, holding on to that one piece of normalcy. Kids don't understand emergencies the way adults do. Their world moves slower, with less logic and fewer answers. That's why it's vital to include items to keep them occupied and calm. Books, puzzles, coloring supplies, or small toys become more than entertainment. They become distractions from fear, anchors to a sense of safety. When every other sound is screaming, when every adult is panicked, that simple toy could keep a child from breaking down entirely. What seems trivial now can save their sanity later. 26. Emergency contact information. Picture this. You're separated, tossed into chaos so thick, it doesn't just feel like the end of the world. It is the end of your world. Streets are unrecognizable, services are down, and the only thing worse than the confusion in your head is the question that chills you to your core. Where are they? Where is your family? I've heard the panic in people's voices as they shout names into a crowd or collapse at the sight of empty, smoking ruins. You don't want to be among them. And that's why emergency contact information is more than a practical document. It's protection against losing the people you love. Take your photos now. Print them, store them in waterproof envelopes, and write down everything. Home addresses, phone numbers, email addresses. Include rendezvous points that everyone in your family knows. When towers fail, when the internet crumbles, paper doesn't. Don't forget to include out-of-area family members in your plan. There's safety in someone far removed from the devastation. Someone who can coordinate and relay messages when everything close to home falls apart. Without this preparation, you're at the mercy of pure luck. Trust me when I say this world has no kindness left for those who rely on luck. 27 power options. The night disaster first hit, I wasn't ready for the dark. It wasn't normal darkness. It was hungry, swallowing everything it could touch. No phones, no flashlights, no comforting glow of neighbors' houses. Electronics turned to bricks in a matter of hours. And us? We weren't much better. You need power. Solar chargers, backup batteries, cables sturdy enough to take a beating. Think of everything you rely on to push through an emergency. Flashlights, emergency radios, phones, even portable medical devices for those with critical needs. Without power options, those tools are fleeting comforts, doomed to die when their batteries fade. Imagine running out of battery when you finally get through to someone screaming on the other end of the line, begging for help, or your dying flashlight in pitch-black darkness, leaving you scrambling with shaking hands to feel your way out. That level of fear, it paralyzes. A solar charger might feel like overkill right now, but when the sun becomes the only reliable force in your life, it's going to feel like salvation. Backup batteries won't just help, they'll buy you time. Don't give the darkness the upper hand. 28. Pet considerations. It's easy to overlook your pets when everything is falling apart. You'll tell yourself you'll manage, that you'll figure it out when the time comes. But as someone who saw too many people abandoned and broken because they couldn't care for their animals when disasters struck, I'm here to tell you that's not fair. To them or to you. Your pets rely on you for everything. They're just as scared as you'll be when the world changes. Will you leave them behind because you didn't bother to pack their supplies? Will you watch them suffer because you didn't think this through? Here's what you need to do. Gather their vaccination records now. Keep them with your emergency documents. Stock up on enough food, water, and medication to last for weeks, maybe longer. Pack collapsible food and water dishes, leashes, carriers, and bedding. Because when you're fighting to survive, the guilt of failing the creatures who trusted you can break you. I've seen it happen. Friends refusing to evacuate because they wouldn't leave without their dogs, knowing full well they didn't have what those dogs would need. It's a kind of desperation no one should feel, a helplessness born from lack of preparation.